Hi there.
I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin. I'm Nathan.
We're three old tech dudes.
And today we're playing with a TV you've already seen. We're going to do something else.
We love the blue TV. It's our friend.
We love the TV. It works. It's very iMac-y.
It's from the iMac-y days.
It is from the iMac-y. Okay, so I found a real fun thing that I thought was kind of fascinating. Actually, it's a big
did my phone get your table dirty? I'm sorry.
Yes, it was just. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we filmed these like in a sequence, and we do so. Anyway, some of you probably watched Techmoan channel and see that he does a lot of things with visualizers, audio visualizers, and I had remembered that when I was a kid that my favorite one was on a computer that I had as a kid, except it got lost because I don't know, life, whatever. So I picked up one again, but I still had the actual visualizer part for it. So what I picked up,
it's a trash 80 COCO,
is the Color Computer 2 from TRS-80. Okay, here.
That's the first computer I ever used in my life.
Do you know what TRS-80 stands for? It's actually 2 bits of something.
I figured Tandy's the first letter.
Tandy Radio Shack, and then the original processor, not in this, but the original TRS-80 was the Z80 processor.
Okay, sure.
TRS-80. Okay. And this one, of course, doesn't have a Z80 in it.
I always called these TRS-80s, but that technically most guys actually call them color computers or COCOs, I think.
Yeah. So the TRS-80, which I still have the box, but I don't have all the packing material. But so you got the computer, and you got a little really yellow.
It has been a long time,
man.
Since I saw one. So I've seen one of these.
So this one is badly yellowed, and it came with the joyous little adapter, which I think I'll make.
Joyous.
So I'll get a preview of this here in a little bit. But it's got one of those TV computer adapters. So if you need that, which I don't, because we have TV, need that. So then you have the computer itself, and the power cord is attached. And let me take you real quick around this thing. So you got your cartridge port. Yeah, this is badly yellowed. I know. I haven't fixed it yet. Reset button. TV out. Channel selector switch. So 3 or 4. Cassette in and out. Serial port and 2 joystick ports, and then the power button. And that's really the entire I/O of this thing is that. So you can plug me in.
Certainly, it would be my pleasure.
So the thing that this would do, because of course it's a cartridge, just kind of like the Ataris and stuff like
Am I
that.
going to go back in time when I plug this in?
You might.
It's possible. So one of the cartridges that I still had from when I was a kid that still works is, let's see if I can show you that one. That one, which I can't aim really. There we go. So the audio spectrum analyzer, I was sitting there watching some of the Techmoan videos because I like this video, especially on some visualizers he does. But you could do that with a TRS-80 computer. You needed this cartridge and the cassette interface, which I cannot find. It's at home. I've seen it in the last month, but I don't know where it's at. So right now I'm just going to fire up the program itself. So much like the earlier computers, once you put the cartridge in, you turn it on.
Ooh.
And there's the cartridge. So
I can't see.
Now the reality was this only had input and output, or their output from this thing was only for like TV. So it's only channel 3. So you'd only see that. So if you went into it, I'm trying to remember how to get into it. So you could actually bring up an audio spectrum analyzer.
Does that make sound, or it will?
No, because it was
your
just,
interface.
it was not the interface. But it actually had the spectrum analyzer here, so it actually, and it worked. And you had different ones that you could use. I'm trying to remember how to get to the other ones. In the space. So some of the buttons do different things. This computer needs work on.
Roro.
I think, but it also had a visualizer, so I think that's what I just brought up by accident.
You broke it.
Probably. Oh, we reset it. Here's the nice thing. The computers of the day, reset. And they come up that quick. So
1981.
Yeah.
I was
so
born
that's
then.
I was not.
You were not. So, but this thing actually worked, and it had another mode, and I'll have to find the book for this thing, but it's really fascinating that you could do this and you could hook this to a TV and work. So there's some mods for the color computer to give you composite video out rather than channel 3, channel 4, which I really want to get working. So because you can see the interference in the picture and things like that, and that's typical for the year. I wish it had K. I don't know what K does. K does something. There it goes.
You got it back.
I think that changes mode, so it's like one of the modes it goes to.
So.
It's like K is probably kaleidoscope, G is graphic.
Kaleidoscope sounds fun.
Yeah, because it would give you like just this, this great sparkly thickening thing, which I really need. Wish I had it going right now. I looked and looked and looked last night.
Yeah, I like how it has the different equalizer values pretty
Yeah.
clearly there. 315, 63, 125, 250. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And it still does. I mean, if I hook sound to it, it would actually still work.
Right.
That's something. I will shoot a video of this, pulling through a capture card, and show a bit of this working now.
There you go.
You can see it. So, the cartridge that I have for this obviously works fine. The keys need cleaned. Honestly, that's what it is. And this whole thing needs retrobrited badly. Other than that, the computer is fully functional. So cleaning the keys and retrobriting, and just giving it the cleaning would actually make this thing really. And I have that cable. I've got to find it, but I have the cable. So, if nothing else, I know I can buy it. It's literally just like a DIN connector. It's that.
Sure.
So it's a 5-6 pin DIN, 5-pin DIN connector.
Is this close to our original color right here?
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, so the original
Keyboard
color,
keys are actually pretty close to the color, too.
That's the original color.
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, so the original color, which is kind of hard to see in this light because I forgot to turn on the big lights. I don't know.
You did.
Mess with things. Oops.
I just now noticed that.
Yeah, it's like we're not blinded. But you had this, and then it has really, really yellowed. So if you pull the cartridge out, you can do that. It'll come in and it'll turn on.
Oh,
and give you
extended
basic.
color basic.
Yeah, so you can do the
This is what I wrote my first program in. Because with the great elementary school I went to had these. Yes, I remember the flashy cursor.
Did it say "Hi Timmy"? Your first program?
No, it counted to 1,000 out of the TRS-80 programmer's manual that I found in a drawer, and then I modified it to count to 1,000. And the computer room instructor, as they were known, thought I was some sort of mad genius because I did something other than load a game from a floppy disk like all the other kids.
So yeah, it's kind of
Funny story. The 5.25 quarter floppy drives on these connected to the cartridge port as well. And they had a gray ribbon cable on them. And the teachers at my elementary school here in town were taught if the discs wouldn't load or said error, to pull that cartridge out, run their fingers along the ribbon cable, straighten it out, and put it back in.
Well, Data doesn't like to go over curves.
That's right, or humps or something. Yeah.
It's kind of like we all grew up blowing into Nintendo cartridges.
Exactly.
Which did absolutely nothing.
But, you know, it amused me because that's a clear case because that happened all the way through my elementary school years, which means somebody told them that, and they just carried it from person to person for 6 years. That's how you fix
so
the
you
computers.
pulled it out and you
because they pulled the cartridge,
straighten the cable.
I'm sure what was fixing the computer was they pull the cartridge out and put it back in that connected the floppy drive inside. But they thought that moving their fingers up and down that ribbon cable straightening out was causing it to work.
That's funny.
So
I like it.
So
it's another case of that mozzarella foxfire. So.
Mozzarella.
See our previous videos.
So I'm thinking like this is going to be my new desktop.
Absolutely. Because everybody can read hard to read black on green, right?
I like
We
that.
can change the background. Though.
I know, but I always both this and the Commodore 64 had the most atrocious default colors. They're just terrible and hard to read. Commodore might have been a little easier.
Yeah, actually, Commodore I think had almost the exact same resolution as this too. It was real funny.
Breaking 10 OK.
Yeah, because if you run it, it just keeps doing that.
3.0 TD.
I love the fact it has a break button.
Yeah. Yeah, that is nice.
You know, but it's back in the days of BASIC, so you just had but it worked. I mean, the video and the audio on a Commodore 64, my shirt, is obviously better. But the fact that Radio Shack made a computer that worked and really sold a lot of
I sure did. In a lot of towns, including this one, is about the only place you just walk in and buy a computer.
Yeah,
locally.
Because you could order one. We had a JCPenney, we had a Sears, and a Kmart, and you could order one, but they didn't have it in stock, of course. But you walk into Radio Shack and you could literally just buy this right there and walk out with it. I mean, it set you back a good chunk of change, but I like the Radio Shack computer lines. I mean, they're simple and basic, and a few things they do I don't like. A few things they do I do like. The floppy disk drive, for example, for this thing actually is a parallel connector. It's got a big module plugs inside, and then you got a big exposed ribbon cable. But it was a lot faster than the Commodore 64, which was suffering from a couple issues they had back in the original days. The drives were just so slow. Now, once you got to the C128, they did fix that. But if you've been in C64 mode, you'd go right back to it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had one.
So you had these in your school?
We did.
Yeah.
They were all over the local school
What
system.
the heck? We had Apple IIs.
We had a single 2GS in each school. That was the only thing with a mouse at the time.
Yeah.
This would have been prior to 1995.
Yeah, when they started putting in the computers in 95. I actually showed up in 97 and finished that project out.
Because I remember we got the new 2GS, and it was a big, hairy deal that there was a brand new Apple computer sitting there. And it wasn't a Mac, it was a 2GS. But if you look up a 2GS, you'll see it was very Mac-like. It had a mouse. It had a rip-off Mac OS Apple made for it. It didn't look like the older Apple IIs.
Or it was a GeoS or something. I can't remember. Now, the funny thing was, though, at the time when that came out, it was actually more powerful than the Mac of the same era.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And more capable machine.
Remember, it had a really well-animated game that taught you how to do click and drag. I learned to click and drag on a 2GS. I feel honored. So.
More importantly,
I really
did
did.
have Oregon Trail.
Well,
I'm sure it did.
You had to dive
you had to be the
special.
special. You had to be the kid that actually got to pick to use the computer is how popular it was. So otherwise you had to go play on these, and everybody's like, oh. But I liked these too. So.
Yeah, I mean,
but it certainly wasn't the 2GS.
Now, by the time that you had gotten a 2GS, for example, these were very, very outdated.
Yep.
I mean, these things. I think this was made. What did it say on there? 82.
Since it's a Model 2, I'd say that's about right. So.
I thought it had a date on it. So we had these in the schools, and schools are notoriously never threw any of this stuff away. And there was still TRS-80. We actually, when I started working in the schools, I'd opened every door in the corporation to see what was there, or in the high school anyway, because that was my job. I knew where everything was. So I just opened all the closet doors. I found a new in-the-box, unopened TRS-80.
Should have hung on to that.
Well, at this point now, I smack myself so hard for throwing some of this stuff away.
That's how you probably dumpstered that, didn't you?
We literally dumpstered it.
You make me want to throw up.
I know, and and we got like all those Apple computers, like the Apple IIs, the original Apple IIs, Apple II GSs, Apple II, all the stuff. We had stacks of them. They were fully equipped machines, and we literally sold them for like $1 at an auction.
Oh yeah,
nothing, like for a pallet, not for one, for a pallet of the freaking things.
There was
with the Apple.
The value wasn't known.
Well, we did at the time. It really wasn't there.
And really, the only reason there's a value now is collections and collectors and people that want to tinker with them.
The old tech dudes.
Yeah, guys like us who want to collect this. So I got this. I really got this because I wanted to play. I wanted this cartridge to work again, and I wanted to make sure it still did work. Because literally, I bought this new, and it was probably like 82 when I bought that cartridge.
That's cool.
Or whatever it was, and when it came out, and because I had one of these, so I've been, but this thing will work on the original color computer or the 2. So I had at first I had a 2, and I got a 1 later, believe it or not.
The 1 had more squared keys and a longer, deeper backup back here.
It had what I usually refer to as chiclet keys, which really look kind of like the Mac keys, except they're not near as nice.
Right, but they're that shape. That's true.
Yeah, the same shape.
The current shape of the MacBook keys.
And I never throw. I'm the guy right now that's not. My wife hates this because I'm like, hey, I can get here's the TRS-80. I can grab that. Let's get another TRS-80. And she's like,
why?
Why do you want another old computer? Now, my kids, however, are starting to see the joy of some of the older hardware. Especially John, who's a little bit older, but he's really kind of getting into fixing up some of this old stuff and keeping it going, which is probably terrifying to everyone else in the house. But
gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, it's what I did. I mean, I hacked into this stuff as a kid the whole time. But I just find it funny because, like, if you got like this is another thing that's really funny about this. Is I feel the heat coming off the transformer, right? The power supply is in this thing. It is not an external device. But it's a big transformer.
Right into here.
Yeah, it's a big transformer with just voltage regulator. It's such a simple computer, but it worked. These were used by, much like the Commodores and even the Apples and things like these, were used by hams way past their life.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone's made any new games for this, but the Commodore 64 has seen some new games come out in the last year, which is really cool. Like the 8-bit guy released his own game, and it was considered right now to be like one of the best Commodore 64 games ever, because it is like a Commodore 64 version of StarCraft.
Oh wow!
And I mean, the fact that he was able to get that to work on that is amazing. But I like, this is one of those things from my childhood which I respect and have more fascination with now than I probably did then.
Right.
Because I can tell you, I know what it's having to do to make itself work.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was like, turn it on, there it is, go.
Right.
Took
it for granted.
I really did. And when I was in college, I'm like, I started my college with a Commodore 128. And I'm like, oh, God, I hate this computer. I want to give me a real computer. Now I'm like, dude, you should have hung on to the 128 because a lot of freaking
kept it around. Yeah.
I bought an 8088 XT computer and thought that was better. And the hilarious thing was, in reality, it really wasn't. I mean, it had more RAM, but the sound was not near as good, and the video really wasn't near as good either at the time. So that's the funny part. Is this the Commodore really? I don't think they realized how advanced they were. But at the time, when the color computer came out, the first one came out in 80 or 81. It really was one of the leaders in technology. I mean, Apple came out first with their computer that could do color, and then Commodore came out, and Radio Shack came out like almost at the same time. I want to say TI came out with the TI-99 as well, but it was amazing how advanced for the day, even something from Radio Shack was.
Right.
You know, I mean, I always call these trash 80s, but actually they work.
I was a bit derogatory, but I think it's comical because I actually think they're really neat, and I'd like to own one myself eventually. But
Yeah.
haven't obtained one yet. Haven't tried either.
I found this one on eBay. Keep in mind it's ugly, but it works. And I paid $30 for it.
That's a good price.
Oh, wow.
So right now these are not expensive collecting items. Which is probably the time you really want to get into this and not go, hey, I just bought my new, Apple One, for $12,000, or something to that effect, or me with synthesizers back in the day. I'm watching some of the prices go up, and I'm like, why is the price? Cause there's like one of my favorite synths, with the one that was used on Stranger Things, the Roland Juno 60.
Right.
I could have bought one of those when I started back into keyboards for about $300. They're $3,000 now for one, if you can find one. And that was, what, 6 years ago? It's just funny with short time. But I just want
Probably what can change prices too.
Oh my, yeah, Stranger Things definitely did. And the getting back to analog sounds definitely did too.
Yeah.
If I can find it, I'll put the specs on this thing up. But it actually could do some reasonable amounts of sounds, and it had like additional cards you could plug into this thing to give you like speech synthesis and everything else, much like the Commodores did too. And really, there's more similarities between this and a Commodore than probably anyone really wants to admit. Especially some guys who are like hardcore Commodore people and just don't think this thing's worth anything, which is fine. But it really had some things on there that were kind of fun. And there's Radio Shack's biggest problem, I think, with these, honestly, was that they didn't license other people to make software for it.
Oh.
Whereas Commodore's like, I don't care.
Right.
So you only had Radio Shack stuff for this. Although at this point now you could obviously do whatever you want to, but at the time you really couldn't just write software for it. But something released like this cartridge, the Audio Spectrum Analyzer cartridge, I don't think it's all that rare. I mean, I have seen it on eBay for $50 or $100 or something like that. But the fact it works, and actually really it works, and it's simple. I mean, you literally turn the machine off, plug the cartridge in, turn it on, and Spectrum Analyzer. And the funny thing is that the boot times, I'm still so hilarious about these boot. It boots up like that. Yeah, boot your iPhone that fast. I can't boot mine that fast. I mean, it's just for me this is a fascinating piece. I got this to do a couple things with, and I'm actually hoping I can find that cord tomorrow before we go to do that.
That'd be really great.
Because I want to find my video projector and project that on the wall.
That would be fun.
Oh, cool.
Use it as a stage pop. My initial thought, I swear to God, was to use this as a stage pop.
Yeah.
For one of my bands that I'm in, just because it's so funny, and the fact that it actually works because you can
We need a bigger studio monitor.
Well, yeah.
So I can see what's going on.
You can't see a little thing.
I can't. Oddly enough. I can see what color the screen is.
Yeah, it's
Rock and roll.
The other thing I'm going to do with this, I'm going to get this cleaned up, and I'll bring it back on here. So anyway, this has been just a quick look at a couple things you can do with the Radio Shack TRS-80 color computer 1 or 2. In this case, it's a 2 with a nice cartridge. The Audio Spectrum Analyzer cartridge to actually use one of these old computers as an audio visualizer.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is actually really cool in itself, the fact that it actually works. So that's pretty neat. Anyway, so for this week, make sure that you like and subscribe and leave us a comment what computer you had growing up. That'd be really neat to know.
Oh, yeah.
And what you loved about it and maybe what you didn't love about it. I really had a lot of this kind of stuff, so yeah, that's, it dates me a little bit. Anyway, so let us know down in the comments, and make sure you hit the like button, of course, and subscribe to it. And I think what else? think that's it.
Like
That's it for now.
Like us on Facebook. Come look us up on Facebook. We'll try
Share
to
our
get some impressions.
stuffs. Make us famous.
Tell your neighbors.
Anyway.
Tell your neighbors.
Tell your neighbors.
Tune in.
Tune in. Anyway. So, for this week on Three Old Tech Dudes, I'm Nathan.
I'm Justin.
I'm Timmy. Later.
Later.
We should do a 3 old tech dude short on trumpet valves. That's old tech, yeah.
Oh, it is. Clean those ones.